Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
Today we are going to be going over Week 16 game previews, championship week. This is what we've all been waiting for. We've had a couple crazy games to start off the playoffs. Or to start off the final round, that is. I'm here to tell you who you should be starting with upside and who's a safe play. And without further ado, Jeffrey, let's get it started.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
In this matchup, we have the Falcons versus the Chiefs. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Atlanta Falcons are traveling to Kansas City to face the Chiefs. The spread is -10.5 Chiefs. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Falcons, running back Todd Gurley is questionable in this game. Interim head coach Raheem Morris is calling Ito Smith the lead running back. Wide receiver Julio Jones is out in this matchup with a hamstring injury. For the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out in this game. The Chiefs are hopeful that he is back for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs.
Wow, that's a lot of news to get to. It's very unfortunate about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Though he has not been living up to expectations, he is a starting running back, or at least he was. And same with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley has not been what people had projected him to be this year, but started off pretty strong touchdown-wise and then just fell off. All right, let's get into this matchup, starting with the home team, Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to play all the usual suspects. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. And instead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think we're playing Le'Veon Bell. And in a deep, deep league, Darrell Williams. I think that Le'Veon Bell's not going to get all the work, so I do think that they are going to share the load. Next, I'm not playing any of the other wide receivers not named Tyreek Hill. The defense is a solid defense. You can play them if you want. They're right outside my top 12. And the kicker, absolutely, you play him every week. All right, next we have the Falcons starting at the top. Matt Ryan is not in my top 12, but I do think that there's a chance he doesn't have a terrible game. Normally, I don't like to play him without Julio Jones, because Julio Jones seems to make that offense move, and without him, I feel like they get stuck a lot. Last couple games have been playing all right, but I'm not trying to risk that in my championship round. Next, we have the wide receiver position. No Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, fire him up. Next, we have Russell Gage, actually. I think Russell Gage is a solid start with Julio Jones out. Next, we have the running back position. I don't want to touch any of them. Todd Gurley not being the starter. Ito Smith coming in to be the starter. I'm good. I don't want to start that in my championship round. Next, we have the tight end. No thank you. Not without Julio Jones. I know this sounds strange, but playing Hayden Hurst, the tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, without Julio Jones, not a good play. Next, we have the defense. No. Kicker, yes, because he's one of the best kickers in the league, for sure. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. Time to pick the game. And 10.5 point spread. I'm taking Atlanta. The Chiefs have not been covering their spreads. They win these games, but they don't cover their spreads. So I'm going to go with Atlanta on this one. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we have the Bears versus the Jaguars. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Chicago Bears are traveling to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. The spread is -7.5 Bears. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There is one major injury in this matchup. Running back James Robinson is out for this matchup.
That's a big deal. James Robinson is probably one of the best parts about the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. He was a very viable running back, and not having him this week really going to leave a hole in that offense. All right, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and to be honest with you, Mike Glennon is going to be starting over Gardner Minshew, but I honestly don't really think it matters. I'm not starting anybody on the Jaguars. The only person I'd even think about starting would be DJ Chark, and that would be as a low in flex play in desperation mode. I'm not really trying to play him either. Bears are good defense. All right, so enough about them. Bears. Mitchell Trubisky, I think, is playable. He seems to be hitting a stride and playing pretty well, so I think that you can play him if you need him. Next, wide receivers. Obviously, you play Allen Robinson and nobody else. Next, we have the running back position. My goodness. David Montgomery has been one of the best running backs of the last few weeks. You absolutely have to play him in the championship. Next, we have the tight end position. No, thank you. Defense, absolutely. One of the best on the week. And no, the kicker. All right, time to pick this game. 7.5 point spread for the Bears. And I got to go with the Bears. Backup quarterback. No starting running back. Oh, it is going to be bad for Jacksonville. And I just think that the defense for the Bears gets it done. And Mitchell Trubisky's probably going to throw up 24 points. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Bengals versus Texans. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to Houston to face the Texans. The spread is -9.5 Texans. My satellites show that winds will be 12 miles per hour. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Bengals, running back Joe Mixon is out in this game. Wide receiver Tyler Boyd has been ruled out. For the Texans, KK Kuti is questionable in this matchup but expected to play.
Good, that's good. Excellent, that's really good. I'm happy that Kiki Cutie is at least going to play. Joe Mixon, I'm sorry if he crushed your team. He crushed a couple of mine. Very disappointing how long he's been out, especially because we expected it to be a very short injury, and it turned out to be very long-term, obviously. And Tyler Boyd being out is really going to affect this offense, and they got a backup quarterback. Oh, I'll get to all that in a second. All right, starting with Houston. Deshaun Watson, you fire him up every week. Absolutely. Next, wide receiver position. I like Brandon Cooks and Kiki Cutie. I think they're both fine plays in this matchup. The Bengals are terrible. Next, we have the running back position. Fire up your David Johnson. He's a top 10 play this week. Next, we have the tight end position. I'm really not excited about them, to be honest with you. Next, we have the defense. I actually think you can play the defense this week against the Bengals. Like I said, they suck. Even though they beat the Steelers last week, which is insanity. Next, we have the kicker, and I think you can play the kicker for the Texans. All right, moving on to the Bengals. Honestly, I'm going to make this quick. There's only two people I would even think about starting. Giovanni Bernard as a low-end running back, too high-end flex play, and T. Higgins as a flex play. That's it. I'm not touching anybody else from that team. All right, time to pick this game. Oh, man, 9.5 point spread. That's a big spread. That's a really big spread. If Brandon Allen plays in this game, I'm picking the Bengals. But if Ryan Finley plays, I'm taking the Houston Texans. So watch out who the starter is going to be. It's definitely going to determine the spread for this game. So right now, the spread is at 9.5. With Brandon Allen, I think that they could actually cover it. I mean, obviously they just beat the Steelers. But with Ryan Finley, they're definitely not covering it. So watch out for who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Bengals, and that'll help you decide who's going to cover. All right, that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we have the Browns versus the Jets. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Cleveland Browns are traveling to, quote, New York to face the Jets. The spread is -9.5 Browns.
Big
Weather
spread.
should not be an issue in this game. For the Browns, wide receivers Jarvis Landry, Rashad Higgins, and Donovan Peoples-Jones have been deemed close contacts to someone with COVID-19. They will be out in this matchup.
No way. 3 receivers all out for COVID-19 reasons? Yikes. That's not a good sign. All right, so we're going to start off with the Jets, and we're going to make this quick. Only player on this team that I'm even thinking about starting is Jamison Crowder, and honestly, not excited about it. Low in flex play. Moving on to the Browns. We have the quarterback position. Baker Mayfield, he's actually been playing really well. Even though he's lost pretty much all his wide receivers, he's going against the Jets. I think that he can make it work, but I do think it decreases his value. He goes from being a definite start to, you kind of gotta. But I still think that he has a fine game. Next, we have the wide receiver position, and like Jeffrey just said, like all the main ones are going to be on COVID-19. So I think he's going to throw it more to the running back and the tight end. Speaking of running back, I think you play both of the top running backs for the Browns. Nick Chubb is a running back 1, and you have Kareem Hunt as a running back 2. Next, we have the tight end position, and with the wide receivers out, I think that the tight end moves up. So I think Austin Hooper's a fine play. Fire him up. Definitely play the defense. Absolutely going against the Jets. They're terrible. And I think you can play the kicker if you want. I haven't really been playing them, though. All right, time to pick this game. 9.5-point spread. That's a big spread. I got to go with the Jets on this one. I was just burned last week picking the Rams to go against the Jets, and they lost to the Jets. The winless, now 1 win, Jets. Insanity. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Colts versus the Steelers. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Indianapolis Colts are traveling to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. The spread is -2.5 Steelers. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Steelers, running back James Conner is questionable in this game. Head coach Mike Tomlin said he, quote, could be available. Tight end Eric Ebron is questionable in this game with a back injury.
Yikes, that is not good news. All right, let's actually start with those Steelers. Start at the top, Big Ben. I'm not really trying to play him this week. Just doesn't have the greatest matchup, and his team's not flowing very well. Next, wide receivers. Deontay Johnson, I believe, is the start as a wide receiver 2. Juju Smith-Schuster is a low-end 2, high-end flex play. And Claypool has been playing terrible. Over the last 5 weeks, he's been 46th in the league amongst all wide receivers. It's been terrible. So I am not excited about starting Claypool at all. Next, we have the running back position. James Conner. I got him as a flex at best. I honestly, if you don't have to start him, I would not start him. 1, this is a bad matchup. Colts are good, especially defensively. 2, how long is he going to play? Is he going to play the whole game? Is he going to be on a snap count? I don't want to deal with that in my championship round, so I would avoid him if I could. Next, tight end, like he said, Eric Ebron is injured. No, thank you. Defense, I still think you can play their defense. Their defense is very good. Next, kicker, I'd prefer not to, but I think you can. All right, moving on to the Colts. I'm not starting Phillip Rivers, but wide receivers, T.Y. Hilton, low-end flex play at best. I'm not excited to start him. There are other people out there that are definitely going to be better starts to him. Do not be afraid to bench him if you need to. Next, the running back position. I think Jonathan Taylor's a start, though the Steelers' defense is very good against the run. I still think you can start Jonathan Taylor as a high-end running back 2, and Nyheim Hines as a desperation flex play. Next, we have the tight end position. No. Defense, yes. Kicker, yes. All right, time to pick this game. I'm going to be picking the Colts for this one. I just think that the Colts defense should do some work, and the Steelers just look really out of sorts. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we have the Ravens versus the Giants. Jeffrey, let's get it started.
The New York Giants are traveling to Baltimore to face the Ravens. The spread is -11.5 Ravens. Weather should not be an issue in this game.
Yeah.
In regards to injuries, for the Giants, Daniel Jones is on track to play this week, according to the head coach, Joe Judge. Running back, Devontae Freeman, is active and expected to play.
That last one is not as exciting. So here's the thing. Wayne Gallman's been playing great, and with Devontae Freeman back, it's only really going to eat into his work. So that's unfortunate, but we'll get to that in a minute. Starting off with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is back to being great. I think you fire him up in this matchup. The Giants' defense is getting better, but it's Lamar Jackson. You're firing him up. He's going to run for 1,000 yards. Next, we have the wide receiver position, and I actually think that Marquise Brown is worth a start. He has been around a flex play, and I actually think that's where you can start him at, high-end flex play. Next, we have the running back position. J.K. Dobbins seems to be taking this role, so I think you fire him up as a running back 2, and as a flex play, I think you can play Gus Edwards. Now, mind you, the Giants' defense is actually pretty solid, but I still think that Gus Edwards, as a desperation play, can be a flex play. Next, we have the tight end position. Start up Mark Andrews. There's only 2 tight ends that are better than him, to be honest with you. Next, we have the defense. Absolutely play them. And kicker. You're playing Justin Tucker every week. He's a monster. Next, we're going over to the New York Giants. So, starting at the top, Daniel Jones plays. I'm still not playing him. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Next, we have the wide receivers. I'm not excited about any of them in general, and definitely not against Baltimore. Next, we have the running back position. This is what I was talking about earlier. Wayne Gallman has been playing very well, but he's going against Baltimore, and they may bring back Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman's really only going to eat into Wayne Gallman's work. So I'm not excited about him like I normally am. I have him as a low-end flex play. Next, we have the defense. No. Kicker, no. All right, time to pick this game. I'm actually picking Baltimore. Yes, that is a huge spread. I know. Daniel Jones, if he is not healthy enough to move around, is going to get sacked a bunch. And he's going to throw picks and make plenty of other mistakes. So I think Baltimore capitalizes on that and then runs it down the throat at the end of the game. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Chargers versus the Bengals. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Denver Broncos are traveling to Los Angeles to face the Chargers. The spread is -3.5 Chargers. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Broncos, running backs, Melvin Gordon is questionable for this game. Philip Lindsay has been placed on injured reserve. For the Chargers, wide receiver, Keenan Allen, is a game-time decision with a hamstring injury. Tight end, Hunter Henry, is on the COVID-19 list and will be out of this game.
Wow! That is a lot of injuries in this matchup. My goodness. All right. I'll break those down when we get into these matchups, or when we get into the teams. We're going to start off with the Chargers because they're the home team. Justin Herbert, I actually think you can start him. It does make me a little nervous about the whole Keenan Allen situation. Keenan Allen is a fantastic wide receiver, and if Justin Herbert doesn't have him or Hunter Henry, that's a little worrisome. But assuming that Keenan Allen plays, I think that Justin Herbert is a low-end quarterback 1. Now, before then, I would have called him a middle-tier quarterback 1, but makes me nervous with all these injuries. Next, we have the wide receiver position. If Keenan Allen plays, do we play him? He played last week, and he was on the field, but he didn't really get a lot of work. So, it's a little up in the air on that one. If you have a safer option, I can totally understand picking them. Next, we have the running back position, and Austin Eckler is going to be like the main target for him. So I think you fire up Austin Eckler for sure. Next, we have the tight end, and like I said, Hunter Henry is going to be down, and I'm not starting the backup in championship week. No, thank you. Next, we have the defense. I think the defense can be started, even though Joey Bosa may not play in this matchup. Next, we have the kicker, and I'm really mad about the kicker, but you can start both kickers in this matchup. It should be low scoring. Next, we have the Broncos. All right, starting at the top. No, not starting the quarterback or wide receivers. That being said, running backs. Melvin Gordon did not play fantastic the last time he played the Chargers, but he still has a revenge narrative because he used to play for the Chargers and he wanted them to pay him. And they did not pay him, so which is why he's on the Broncos. So I think that he is going to be extra motivated to play in this matchup. So fire him up. Also, Philip Lindsay's out. That also helps when you're getting more touches. Next, we have the tight end, Noah Fant. I think you can fire him up. Tight end position is pretty shallow, so I definitely think you can play him. And no to the defense. You can play the kicker if you want. He's probably going to get a decent amount of kicks. I feel like there's going to be a lot of kicking in this game. All right, time to pick this game. Honestly, this one's going to come down to the wire for which one's going to be the final decision. 3.5 points. The Chargers have won the last 2 games by 3 points, which is why 3.5 is a great spread. I'm going to go with them for now, but watch out for Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen's out, I'll get a little nervous about 3.5 point spread. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over Washington versus the Panthers. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Carolina Panthers are traveling to Washington to face the Washington football team. The spread is -2.5 Washington. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For Washington, quarterback Alex Smith is questionable in this matchup. Dwayne Haskins is expected to start in his absence.
Yuck.
Running back Antonio Gibson is questionable in this game with a toe injury. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin is doubtful with an ankle injury. For the Panthers, Christian McCaffrey is doubtful to play in this matchup.
Yeah, that's a lot of injuries. All right, so let's talk about those Washington football team. There's a lot of question marks in this matchup. Alex Smith, if he doesn't play, that completely changes the dynamic of what I think this game is going to play out as, because I think there's a big drop-off between him and Haskins. Dwayne Haskins, that is, backup quarterback. And on top of that, Terry McLaurin is questionable. He could not play, and Antonio Gibson couldn't play. So the only people that I think are reliable starters regardless are going to be J.D. McKissick. I think he's a running back too, assuming that Antonio Gibson is out. And Logan Thomas, who's going to be a tight end 1 because tight end is decimated and he's going to get some targets. I think that's all I'm going to have for Washington because all those other players are up in the air, and even if they do play, how healthy are they? I would really evaluate that on Sunday to see where they were, but you may have to make a decision before that. Also, you can play Washington's defense for sure. Their defense is fire. All right, moving on to Carolina. I'm really not playing most of these people either, but Mike Davis, I think you could play him as a running back too, and the duo of DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, I think you can play both of them. Robbie Anderson as a flex play, he really has been bad the last 5 weeks, if not a little bit more. And DJ Moore, I think that he is a wide receiver too. He'll be pretty solid. Other than that, I'm really not playing anybody else in this matchup. All right, time to pick this game. I'm actually going to pick the Panthers. Washington has too many question marks, too many injuries. You don't know about the quarterback, running back, wide receiver. The only thing you know is their defense is very good, but they're giving them a 2.5-point spread. I'll take Carolina in this one. All right, I think that's going to do it for this. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Philadelphia Eagles are traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys. The spread is -1.5 Eagles. Weather does not factor into this game because the Cowboys play in a dome. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Eagle, Jalen Reagor is questionable in this matchup. For the Cowboys, running back Ezekiel Elliott is questionable with a calf injury, but he believes he will play. Wide receiver Michael Gallup is questionable in this matchup.
Okay, that's good to know. Zeke Elliott is probably the most important person on that list, and we'll get to them in a second. All right, starting with at the top, you're not starting Andy Dalton because he's Andy Dalton. You're not starting him. Next, we have the wide receiver position. I think Amari Cooper can be a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end flex play. CeeDee Lamb is a low-end flex play if you're desperate. Next, we have the running back position. Ezekiel Elliott is gonna play. But do we play him? I actually think that you can play Ezekiel Elliott, but I have him more in the flex conversation. Same with Tony Pollard. I'm not quite sure how much work he's going to get or if he's actually going to play. Now, we're assuming he's going to play, but things can change. Next, we have the tight end position. No thank you on the tight end for Dallas. And defense, no. Kicker, nah, I'm good. All right, next, we go into the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been playing absolutely out of his mind. Fire him up for sure. Next, we have the wide receiver position, and I'm really not trying to start any of them. Next, we have the running back, Miles Sanders. Great matchup. Fire him up. Next, we have the tight end, Dallas Goedert. I think he's a solid play. Play him. Defense, I'm not really excited about them. I think they're playable, but I'm really not excited about it. Kicker, no thank you. I'm good on that. All right, time to pick this game. Not going to lie, this one's kind of close for me. It's almost a pick 'em. It's 1.5. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys, which feels weird because they've been playing terribly, excluding beating the 49ers last week. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we have the Rams versus Seahawks. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Los Angeles Rams are traveling to Seattle to face the Seahawks. The spread is -1.5 Seahawks. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There is one major injury to discuss. For the Rams, running back Cam Akers is out this week with a high ankle sprain.
Oh, that Cam Akers high ankle sprain, that cost me a championship. I'm very disappointed, but you know, I'm not gonna drag y'all down that sad road of fantasy losses, even scoring 150 plus points. I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyways, so let's talk about this matchup. Starting with Seattle Seahawks, home team. Russell Wilson has actually been struggling recently. Now, at the beginning of the year, he was on fire, but he's fallen out of that top 5 no-brainer must-start to. Who else you got? Because I think that you can definitely start him, but Rams defense is fantastic, and he hasn't been lighting it up like the old Russell Wilson or the earlier this year Russell Wilson. So I think that you can start him, but if there is a better option, I think it's okay to start them. Next, we have the wide receiver. Tyler Lockett has been a disappearing act, but he can always hit. I don't think this is the game he hits, though. I have him as a low-end flex play. I'm not excited to start him at all. DK Metcalf, you kind of have to start him every week. Next, we have the running back. Start your Chris Carson. And no to the tight end, no to the defense, no to the kicker. All right, moving on to the Rams. Jared Goff. I'm not really excited to start Jared Goff. I think that he is startable, but I'm not trying to start him if I don't have to. Next, with the wide receivers, and I think you're starting Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, both as wide receiver 2s. Next, we have the running back position. Cam Akers got injured middle of the game last week. Darrell Henderson, I believe, is going to step into that role. I do think that Malcolm Brown has some work as well, but if I had to choose, Darrell Henderson is going to be the guy. And I'm going to skip the tight end. Defense. You can play the defense. I'm not excited about them because Russell Wilson can go off. I'm not saying he will go off. He definitely didn't go off the last time they played, but he is Russell Wilson. So I think you can play the Rams for sure, but you're playing with fire a little bit. Next, we have the kicker, and I'm good on the kicker. All right, time to pick this game. Rams beat the Seahawks last time they played, but I got a feeling that Russell Wilson will find a way to get it done because he's going to need this win. They're in the same division. They need to start winning some games to go to playoffs, and I think it starts here. Also, the Rams just lost to the Jets. The Jets. Oh, it's pathetic. I can't pick them after that. All right, I think that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Packers versus Titans. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Tennessee Titans are traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers. The spread is -3.5 Packers. My satellites show that there is a 93% chance of rain and lightning. Winds will be 16 miles per hour. This could lead to an increase for the running game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. For the Titans, A.J. Brown did not practice but is expected to play. For the Packers, running backs Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams are both questionable in this game. Aaron Jones is expected to play while Jamal is expected to miss this game.
Score. It's unfortunate that Jamal Williams is going to be out of this game, most likely, but Aaron Jones is the hot ticket item on this one. All right, let's start off with the Green Bay Packers. Fire up Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. All three of those absolute starts for sure. Robert Tonyan, I also think that he's a great start. I'm not playing the defense, and I'm playing the kicker. All right, moving on to the Titans. I think you got to play Ryan Tannehill after that fantastic showing last week. He played absolutely great. Next, we have the wide receivers. A.J. Brown, if he plays, he's in your lineup. Also, Corey Davis, I have him in as a wide receiver too. He's been really good. Next, we have the running back position. Obviously, you're starting Derrick Henry because he's an absolute beast. King Henry. All hail King Next, we have the tight end, Jonnu Smith. If you're trying to roll the dice on a touchdown, that's pretty much all you're shooting for with him. Next, we have the defense, no kicker. Nah, probably not. All right. Time to pick this game. I am picking the Titans 3.5. I do think that this is going to be a closer matchup. Both of these teams are very good. So I think that it's going to be a back and forth affair with the Titans staying within 3. All right, that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one. In this matchup, we're going over the Bills versus Patriots. Jeffrey, give me the rundown.
The Buffalo Bills are traveling to New England to face the Patriots. The spread is -6.5 Bills. Weather should not be an issue in this game. There are a few major injuries to discuss. Wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, is questionable with a foot injury but expected to play. John Brown is still on injured reserve. For the Patriots, Damian Harris is questionable with an ankle injury.
Alright, I'm excited to hear that Stephon Diggs is projected to play. That's very good. Thank you, Jeffrey. Alright, let's get started with the Patriots. I'm not playing anybody. Not a single person on the Patriots. And if you had to play someone from the Patriots, Damian Harris, I guess. If you're desperate, very desperate, that is. They're just offensively in trouble. They're just not playing very well. Next, we have the Bills. All right, Josh Allen, I think you fire him up, even though the Patriots defense is actually pretty solid. I don't think that he has as much upside as he does with other teams in the division. Patriots don't really have anything to play for other than pride, and they're very proud. So I just think that it caps the ceiling for Josh Allen. I think that he can have a solid game, but he's not going to have an outrageously amazing game. Next, we have the wide receiver position. If Stephon Diggs plays him, you play him. Next, we have Cole Beasley. I think Cole Beasley is a very fine play in this one. Yes, I like the defense for the Patriots, but I still think Cole Beasley gets the ball, especially while John Brown's out. Next, we have the running backs, which I'm really not excited about either of them. I would try to not play either of them if I could. If I had to pick one, I guess I'd say Devin Singletary, and it makes me feel terrible because I don't like to play him. Next, we have the tight end, no. Defense, yeah, you can play their defense. And kicker is up in the air. I'm not really a huge fan, but I'm not opposed. All right, time to pick this game. 6.5 point spread. I think that the Bills are rolling right now, and I think they roll this game. I do think that the Patriots put up a solid fight, especially defensively, but I think at the end they win by a touchdown. The Bills, that is. All right, that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one.